Hi everyone, it's Tamari the Astro Fashionista. Welcome to my channel. I'm always bringing you the latest astrology, fashion, beauty, interior design videos, mainly astrological forecasts. And today we are going to talk about March 2019, which is really exciting. So we have a big month coming up, you guys. There's lots of activities, and make sure that you watch the video not only for your sun sign, your zodiac sign, but also your rising sign and your moon sign. I actually find that the rising signs might be a little more accurate because it's closer to what might be actually in your birth chart or natal chart. So without further ado, let's start talking about March. Okay, so I'm going to start out by giving the general forecast, what's going on for the entire month, and then I'll get into specifics for each sign. So Friday, March 1st, we had Venus move into Aquarius. And Venus is the sign of love and beauty. It's Taurus's and Libra's ruler. And when it moves into Aquarius, Aquarius is an air sign. It's very eccentric. It's very forward thinking. It doesn't like to play by the rules. That means we're all feeling a little more like feisty and rebellious when it comes to love, beauty, creativity, all of that stuff. So that was Friday. On Tuesday, March 5th, this is a big day, you guys. We have Mercury retrograde. I know everyone cannot stand Mercury retrograde, but it doesn't have to always be a bad thing. So Mercury retrograde is actually when Mercury, the communication planet, which is Gemini and Virgo's ruler, appears to be moving backwards. It's stationary, so it's not moving forward. And that can be a time of confusion. There's problems with travel, electronics, communication. So it's really not advised to sign important contracts. It's not advised to travel if you really have to. It really affects more short distance travel, but all travel can be affected. It's not a great time to like send really important emails. Like if you are going to, which we know life goes on, just make sure you recheck before you press send. And if you're signing any contracts, just make sure really to read the fine print. That same day, we actually have, actually not the same day. And I also forgot to mention that Mercury will be in Pisces still when it's retrograde, and Mercury is actually considered to be both in detriment and fall in Pisces, which means that it's not really that comfortable there. So we got to be extra cautious this go around. The next day, Wednesday, March 6th, we have a new moon in Pisces, and it is Pisces season. So when there's a new moon, there's going to be a new moon in the sign that season it is. So new moon in Pisces is all about new beginnings. It's a great time to start new activities, but keep in mind Mercury is retrograde, so it's not really a great time to like launch a business or start a new relationship. This is more about maybe going back to something that you've already done in the past and redoing that over, or finishing something that you haven't finished. That same day, you guys, this is a huge astrological placement. We have Uranus moving into Taurus, my sign. Uranus is the planet of change, unexpected change, disruption. It likes to shake things up. And Taurus is all about stability and keeping things status quo and being really stable and seeing things through to the end. So when Uranus comes into Taurus, which is considered in fall, it's not really a comfortable energy. The important thing about this is that it's going to last pretty long time, till about 2026. Yes. Okay, so Uranus in Taurus is going to bring lots of change on a global level, not just personally. Globally, we might see changes to the financial system. We have Bitcoin, and we're kind of maybe moving away to a different type of currency. Maybe cash is going to go away. Who knows? Maybe there's going to be a new form of currency that comes in to replace credit. We'll see how this plays out. But currency probably will be definitely affected. Agriculture, the way we harvest food. There could be changes to the way we communicate about things. Big, large issues being brought to the forefront. There could be issues regarding, let's see what else Taurus rules. Just overall stability and security, maybe national security. Pretty much anything that falls under Taurus's domain, and Taurus rules the throat. It's all about money, security. There is a creative aspect to Taurus, so there might be some creative global things that are new that come about. But this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Uranus only moves into a sign every 84 years. So will not be in Taurus again in our lifetime, unless somehow we start living to like 150 or something. And even then it still wouldn't be back in Taurus. But yeah, it's a pretty special thing. It just came out of Aries. So those were Aries issues we're dealing with. Now we're dealing with Taurus issues. If you are a Taurus, this is definitely going to affect you. I'll talk about it in the Taurus horoscope specifically. But yes, it's going to be big changes. And we got a glimpse into what these changes were last year when Uranus moved into Taurus for a brief period before it went retrograde back into Aries. So that was between May and November of 2018. So think about what happened during that time, and we might be revisiting. Last time Uranus in Taurus, I believe there was like the Great Depression. So if you go back in history and Google Uranus and Taurus, you can kind of see what kind of things we might be dealing with again. And the Social Security system was set up during that time. Okay, then we have Wednesday, March 20th, the first day of spring. That means the sun moves into Aries. It's the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, fall equinox in the southern hemisphere if you live below the equator. And this is all about new beginnings, you guys. Spring is always a fresh new time. It's actually International Astrology Day. It's the beginning of a new astrological cycle because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And so in the Western Hemisphere, this is just a new start for the next 12 months as we start a new zodiac cycle. And obviously Mercury is still retrograde during this time, so it's not going to be a up and moving type of start, but it is going to be a fresh new start. We also have a full moon that same day in Libra, and Libra is Aries opposite sign. Every time there's a full moon, it's in the opposite sign of the sign the sun is in. So my advice would just be to be a little more diplomatic around this time, take on Libra traits, because Aries is a very self-focused sign. And then on Tuesday, March 26th, we have Venus entering in Pisces. So it leaves eccentric Aquarius. It enters into romantic and compassionate Pisces, where it's a little more softer. We might feel a little more romantic. We might feel a little more creative and wanting to express ourselves. So it should be a pretty nice time when Venus moves into Pisces. And then Thursday, March 28th, Mercury retrograde ends. So I know that's going to be a really great thing. Everybody's going to be excited about. Obviously, well, not obviously, I don't know if many of you guys know that there is a shadow period before retrograde, Mercury retrograde starts, and after Mercury retrograde ends. So although Mercury will be moving direct, it'll still be moving kind of slow. So just give it about a week or so before you really like make any major moves. But for the most part, we should be safe after the 28th. And then on the last day of March, I believe March 30th, yes, we have Mars entering in Gemini. And Mars in Gemini will bring the focus on communication issues. It'll bring it on maybe media. We might see some more scandals coming out. There's been a lot of tea, you guys, over the past. February was a hot mess. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what type of energy Mars brings to the forefront. Mars is all about action and starting something in aggression. And when you mix it with Gemini, it could mean some sort of like, you know, something's exposed, or there's some sort of verbal arguments or some sort of intense thing that we see maybe on a global scale, but also in your life. So keep watching to see how these astrological transits affect your sign. Okay, this is the Leo Sun, Moon, and Rising March 2019 horoscope. And if you don't know where your rising or moon sign is, you can go to my website, astrofashionista.com, click on your zodiac, and run a free birth chart. Okay, Leo, we have lots going on this month. On March 1st, we had Venus move into Aquarius. And Aquarius actually rules your 7th house of partnerships and romance. Not necessarily romance, but love relationships and also business relationships. And this tells me that Venus is kind of blessing this area of your chart. So if you're actually looking to get into a new relationship or meet someone new, this could be a good time to do that. Maybe you're already dating someone and looking to take things to the next level. Venus is bringing a little more romance to this area of your chart, which can be really exciting. Then on Tuesday, March 5th, we have Mercury retrograde. And Mercury will be retrograde in your 8th house. And the 8th house rules regeneration, rebirth, death, not literal, it can be literal death, but it can also mean like just rebirth of some sort. We also have the sun currently in that area of your chart, and then we'll have a new moon in that area on March 6th. So that tells me there's some sort of newness surrounding, maybe it's an issue with taxes, because the 8th house does rule like other people's money and debt and large sums of money. So maybe there's something that happens with your taxes. If you have not filed your taxes already, I would highly suggest that you wait until after Mercury goes retrograde, since Mercury is in this part of your chart. So I would wait until after March 28th if I were you, Leo. Just a little tip there. Then on Wednesday, March 20th, it's the first day of spring, and we also have a full moon in Libra. So the full moon's actually happening in your, it's actually happening in your 3rd house, not the 4th. So the full moon is happening here, and that tells me that there's some sort of completion surrounding either siblings. Maybe something happens with your siblings or some sort of event. Maybe you planned a short getaway trip and it's coming up. Keep in mind Mercury is retrograde because the 3rd rules short distance travel. Perhaps there's something involving like communication. Maybe you have to do a report or something like that and you have to finish it, or you finish it around this time. This can manifest in a lot of different ways. But as far as Aries and the first day of spring, that is also happening in your 9th house. So the sun is going to actually move to your 9th house. And that does support, whenever planets are in your 9th house, that supports learning something new. It supports travel, long distance travel. Keep in mind Mercury is retrograde, so this is going towards the end of the month. So once Mercury moves out of retrograde and goes direct at the end of the month, which is on March 28th, it'll be safer to do travel, in particular long distance travel, if that's something that you're considering. Let's see. And then on Wednesday, we already talked about the new moon. Tuesday, March 26th, Venus is going to enter Pisces. So it's currently in Aquarius in your 7th. It's going to go to your 8th. That again can help. So maybe there's a scenario I said wait on doing your taxes. Maybe you wait, and then because you waited, there aren't any snafus surrounding your tax paperwork, and then maybe you get a larger refund than you thought you would have gotten, because the 8th does rule like large sums of money. So it could play out that way. So definitely wait. And then on March 30th, we have Mars entering into Gemini. Gemini rules your 11th house. Oh, I didn't talk about the biggest thing of the month. So, or one of the biggest things of the month, sorry. On March 6th, we talked about the new moon, but Uranus also moves into Taurus, and that's a huge thing. I talked about it at the beginning of the video, but it's actually moving into your 10th house, Leo. So this is bringing major change to the way you're viewed in the world, your reputation. There's going to be some sort of change to like career status, because 10th house is status. So if you're Leo rising, that you can expect some big change. We don't know if it's what type of change, but it's going to be some change, and it could be a disruption, but it also could be a good change. Mars is in that area also during the month in Taurus. So there is a lot of energy into your career life and your reputation and status right now. So Uranus there is kind of reinforcing that, but that's a longer term transit that's going to go on for the next 6 or 7 years. And then Mars is going to move into Gemini in your 11th house at the end of the month. And that'll be bringing energy to like networking, large groups, associations, and things like that. So overall, looks like an exciting month, and I hope to see you next month in the next video.